Hello, my name is Colton Hunt, and I will be presenting the final reflection for education, culture, and society. First up is the impact of gender identity and sexual orientation on education system. Um, it creates a space for students to feel safe with how they feel. 95% of LGBTQ students report hearing homophobic remarks. This is insane. Like, that 95% of the students have heard this. It's disgusting that students and people in general are talking this way to students just because they may find someone of the same gender attractive, or even with pansexual where they aren't attracted to physical appearance but the personality of the person. And it doesn't matter the sexual orientation in that remark, but sexual orientation should not be something that us as teachers are scared of, and we should be helping these students get through the school day without feeling down on themselves because of how they feel inside. And it also causes us to be more open-minded, like I said. And we need to keep our minds open, and we need to not be judgmental of these people no matter how we feel. We can't let our own thoughts get in the way of helping these students. It creates a way for teachers to connect with students. These students are constantly looking for someone to talk to about this. They may be confused, they may be scared. 95% of them are being bullied, and they're just looking for someone to talk to help them. So even if we don't fully understand how they're feeling, we can sit down and talk to them and figure out what they're thinking, how they're feeling, and even do more research on this and help them get through this. It helps create a way for teachers to bring light to these topics. I think if we educate students on sexual orientation and gender identity and all of that, I think it'll create more of an acceptance, and we'll have less bullying in schools, which is always necessary. There's way too much going on, especially with the creation of social media and how prevalent phones and technology is in schools. Now, the impact of ability, it creates a need for special needs classes and teachers. It essentially creates jobs, which is a positive impact, but it's not great that these students have to go through this, but the teachers can form them into productive members of society. It opens discussion about impaired students. Once again, if educating the other students about the mentally impaired and physically impaired students can drastically reduce bullying. Having impaired students in the classroom and in the schools allows students who are not impaired to interact with them, which will greatly reduce bullying as well. And it educates them on how these people aren't actually that different. Their brain just works just a little bit slower or a little bit different. Once again, it gives teachers the chance to teach students. Oh, it gives teachers the chance to teach students in ways they wouldn't normally teach. So, from Spectrum, the movie or video we watched, children with autism need to be constantly moving to learn. So you could have a small trampoline in the corner where the student is constantly moving, getting that stimulation there, while also being able to then concentrate on what the teacher is saying, or even learning through movement, which would be like you're moving around, doing a scavenger hunt sort of, or something along those lines. A negative would be that it could cause problems for parents if school districts they live in does not have necessary accommodations for a child. So if your school district does not have the funding or the staff to be able to teach your child, then you would have to go, as a parent, you have to take them to a different school district where these accommodations can be met and where your child can flourish, which can cost money and is not always possible, because if you can't drive your child there, they can't get there because they obviously can't drive themselves. They're a child. And it's sad that not all schools can accommodate for every child, but it's the reality of the world we live in right now, especially with the teacher shortage. Speaking about the teacher shortage, a big problem right now is there's a lack of teachers. Big challenge within the education system. Not having enough teachers to teach every class is huge right now and is being seen everywhere. It's not just in Ohio. Hopefully our generation is going to step up and become those teachers and become those leaders and role models for these students and teach them about not just our respective disciplines but also about the world, and get them ready to go on to college or into the workforce or whatever else they are deciding to get into. Another challenge is that traditional schools teach to the test. So this is teaching to the SAT, the ACT, the standardized test at the end of the year. Sadly, they have to teach the test. They're not teaching for retention. They're teaching students to spit out information and not teaching so that they actually learn. They're teaching kids to regurgitate the answers to the test and get them right. Another challenge would be not being caught up with the time period. This is just like technology and not only teaching in one way, such as like only using a PowerPoint, only just standing up there and talking to the students and hoping that they understand what's being said. This could be due to lack of funds or lack of desire to innovate. Hopefully it's not the desire to innovate one, or that would be a not great teacher, but the lack of funds. Not all schools can afford laptops, iPads, any sort of smart boards, anything like that. So hopefully that becomes better, but you can't just find money. So classroom size is another one right now, where there's 30 students to one teacher, which high school and middle school and elementary school need to be more personalized learning. The teaching 200 students is fine in college, but you can't do that in the young, anything below that. And you can't, most school districts don't have the money to build another school, and there's not enough teachers to split up classes. So another big one, which I've kind of already touched on, is bullying and cyberbullying. I mean, it's a huge thing right now, especially cyberbullying, because there's not a whole lot that teachers and administration can do about cyberbullying. It's something that is kind of out of their control, and all they can do is educate the students on what they're doing and educate their students so that they can understand why the people act the way they do and the people being bullied act the way they do, and educate the bullies so that they aren't doing that, or find the root to why they are bullying and figure that out from there. Now, providing an equitable experience in education. Teachers can do this by recognizing the needs of students. So if you're treating everyone equal, if we look at the picture, the equality side, the kid on the right can't see, so he needs a little bit more help, and and then on the equity side, he's getting that help that he needs, and the one on the left is not getting as much help, but is obviously still getting help. So teachers just need to figure out where they can allocate their time and energy. So now another one is to avoid biases and keep an open mind. This goes with the LGBTQ students and the students who are mentally and physically impaired. Teachers can't be biased or discriminatory towards those students. They need to help them in any way they can and teach even what they don't believe in. Because if you're not teaching them, the students, then you're doing them a disservice, and it's not fair to the students. Now, earning the trust and respect of the students, I think, is a big one. I think a lot of teachers and adults expect to be respected and trusted, whereas they need to show the students that they can be trusted and need to be respected. And that goes both ways. The students need to earn the trust and respect of the teacher as well. Now, teaching the students something they want to learn. This one's a big one. I've had a couple of professors here asking what we want to learn based on the class subject, which I think can translate into a K through 12 classroom, a K through 12 classroom setting. Well, I think asking the students, so in a biology class, asking the students if there's anything that they know of a little bit, and asking them what they want to learn, or if they have something they want to learn more about. I think that could be very helpful in keeping the students engaged. Teaching using different medias and teach to different learning styles. Not all students learn the same. Some students need to be moving to learn, some students need to be reading, and some students need the oral presentation. Using different medias can teach to all of these different learning styles and can help all of the students grasp the concept that you are trying to teach. And using colleagues when is needed. If you don't understand why a student is acting a certain way and you've tried to figure out yourself, then ask another teacher who has him or has had him or her. I think that's a huge one, is using all of your resources when possible to give all of your students the education that they need. And that is all.